Rob wanted to get on the show to talk to you about something, and I feel like we gotta go to that, right? Like,
Yeah, it's time.
he's here.
It's here.
Rob,
Oh.
what's the scoop, bud?
What's the scoop,
So,
bud?
I have not been playing in any real tournaments. I've just sort of been playing at locals. And something that I have noticed the past couple weeks is there's so many times where I draw up my cards and I'll just have 2 attacks and it feels terrible. My opponent has a ready board. I'm there's nothing that I can do at all to them. It's I can build a couple foundations and hope that I don't have to block with these and continue to sit on these attacks and hopefully one day I'll have 3 or 4 going into a turn. And then watching the finals, and you see Asui and All Might, and they're not necessarily I guess All Might is very much like a character. Obviously, as Chris said, he just draws a million cards. So he can sort of have that one attack and then just start attacking and sort of hope that he'll get his way into a much more aggressive hand. And if it doesn't, he can always sort of back out of it and still have cards in hand and a fairly ready board, or at least a newly built board. And then obviously Froppy, the versions of her that have probably done the best are running Heat Wave, which is a similar thing of just, I'm going to draw more cards, and she doesn't have a problem. I guess that's one of the things is a lot of the decks I've been playing, if I need to play 5 attacks in a turn, it gets real sketchy. If I start checking bad, Asui doesn't have that problem at all. She's oh no, I'll pass every attack that I draw. And I guess I was sort of thinking what, do you guys, you guys have all been playing in some of the tournaments, what do you sort of prioritize when you're building, an attack lineup for the format?
Mhm.
And, do you sort of find that playing pokes is, less rewarding than it's been in the past? And, if so, why do you think that is?
So
I would like to, I was gonna say, I want to let Bromley go first on this. I think he's probably the most, I mean, you've played a wide variety of things, so
Yeah.
I think that you are
I
probably
think
most
that-
qualified to talk about this one.
I think that it's it's a feeling that a lot of the older UFS guys play, because they're used to playing really high impact, extremely valuable cards, right? Meteor, playing fucking Guilty Throne and shit like that, cards that just by being played, they get you immense value, right? And I think that there's basically only 2 categories of attacking in this format in a viable manner, in a not do nothing manner, and it's either I'm going all in and I'm killing you this turn, which is what Asui, Tokiyami, and Fourth Kind can do, right? These are characters that can kill you on any given turn from any board state. And if they are attacking you, they are attacking with purpose. The purpose is to fucking kill you, right? On that turn, you have to respect their capacity to murder you, because they're going to try, right? And the other aspect, which is, I played Asui, I played Tokiyami, I've tried out the Fourth Kind thing. It's not my thing, but I'm very good with Asui. I just don't like the character. But the other half of this, which is what I think that you would be more attracted to, Rob, is what I would call attacking with ulterior motives. And All Might, the All Might that Chris is playing, attacks with ulterior motives every single turn. If he's going to be attacking, he does not care if you block his attacks. If you block and you leave yourself open, he's oh, you're open, I'll attack, right? But most of the time, it's draw 2 cards, maybe ready some of these things, I'll exchange some foundations for other things, and that's what Mei does, that's what Toga does, that's what Ochako does. Ochako shoves things in her momentum to be used later, right? She doesn't care if you block it most of the time, unless it's with a face shield block, right? She's extremely cool with you blocking. She's catch, right? Mei does that too. Mei is attacking with the express purpose of just drawing cards. Toga attacks you with the express purpose of drawing cards, cycling, digging deeper for more things. And if you block and you leave yourself open, you do it incorrectly, then it's oh, well, I can kill you from this board state now, right? And that's, I think, the state that you would want to be in, right? And it's the reason why I think that some characters, like Bakugo 2, who I think is a really, really good character, unfortunately in the wrong format for his inclusion, and same for a couple other characters. Midoriya 1 comes to mind because he doesn't get value out of his attacks. He puts extreme damage on them by discarding cards, big speed, he can make things huge, but he has to devote resources to it, and doing it on just one attack is not enough. He needs to draw 3 attacks and then shove the other three cards into the thing. So like the poke characters that you would like be accustomed to, right? There's no like Liliths who are just like, here's a fucking swallow your soul. If you block it, I'm still getting momentum. I'm probably getting 2 out of it. And also I have the value of my character being able to say no to your poke, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's not like that in this format. You need to be in one of those 2 categories because the middle of it is so awful, right? If you play Midoriya 1 and you only drew 1 attack and the rest is foundations, you're like, well, I guess I'm fishing to like find more foundations and get ahead of you, right? Because he gets his extra hand size out of his random sacking of foundations to build, right? And the same goes for like some of the older 7-handers. Eraserhead has extreme problems building, right? One of the things that I think that a lot of people, you know, I mean, Corey Aguilar won a regional with it, but the reason I don't play that character is because the only way he gets ahead of you is by drawing Manly Passionate guy. He has to block with foundations. And then what I've learned playing into him is that if you pressure his hand every turn, he has trouble sculpting because he has to turn his attacks into erases. Thank you for the sub, by the way. But that's, I think, you know, I don't know what characters you've been playing, right? But I think that's some of the frustration that you're probably that's probably some of the frustrations that you're having is that fair characters attack without purpose a lot of the time, right? They're just like, I look at my turn, I look at what I opened, right? And I know how my turn is going to go, right? And unless you're Tokiyami or Asui or Fourth Kind, usually 2 attacks isn't cutting it, right? You're not content to just like build 4 pass because now you're like, the position isn't very defensible. I want to hold these to sculpt, right? Whereas like in Toga or Mei or even in All Might, you can draw 1 attack and 5 foundations, and you're like, well, let's see how this goes. You know, I'll toss this whatever it is. If it's back alley haymaker, it's awesome. Yeah. It's super, super great. But it can be literally any attack. You can toss a frog lashing or a tongue whip and just be like, well, let's see how it goes. Let's see what I get out of the back end of this equation.
Thanks for the gifted subs, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks for the gifted subs.
Yeah, that was one thing with All Might over the weekend. Like, I would toss a back alley and then just be like, well, I'm drawing 3 cards this turn. Let's see where we go.
Yeah,
right. Because I don't need, if I don't have a 0, obviously I'm drawing. But if I need to, I'll just draw 3 cards in a turn and be like, well, I guess I just drew 3 attacks. You're dead, or I'm more defensible. Whatever. Just makes it a lot easier. Because when I basically called set 1 the drawing while attacking and defending format, because all the good decks, not good symbol decks, but like all the really well represented decks you draw attacks. Like you just would attack and you'd still end the turn with like 4 or 5 cards in hand to defend with, or you draw on defense and stuff like that. And I think in set 2, it's even still more prevalent with still Asui murdering people. You still have Tokiyami murdering people with Sugar Rush Power Up now. Thanks, Tim Keefe. And you still have your Ochakos and you have your
that
Force
can't
Kind.
be Tim Keefe's fault.
I blame him because he's the one who won with it. So we'll blame Tim. We still love him, but we blame him. Even like the All Might deck. That's one reason why I think I said it earlier, because I just draw 1,000,000 cards in a turn. If I don't kill you, I can defend, and then I will kill you when you have to expend all these resources to kill me, because I have a giant ass and a huge board. Come at me,
I like it the format in a very I guess in a very polarizing way, because I think that the meta is extremely, I wouldn't say defined, but it is very skewed. I think it is very tough to play characters that have a 6 hand size, and I don't know if that's the struggle you're having, where you in a 6 hand size character, you are extremely punished for not attempting to build. And I know this did come up in chat, but it is a point that I've been kind of trying to drive home. Like, I would not be caught dead playing a 6 hand size character in this format. I just think it is the attack quality isn't good enough for you to justify holding the attacks, and your position in the meta isn't strong enough unless you are just extremely broken or getting extreme benefits out of it, that your attacks are just powering through that, right? Like Ochako can get through being a 6 hand size character because assuming your opponent has that face shield, you get to bank an attack for next turn. You can always throw it and see what sticks.
I mean, she's someone too that like.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say she was sort of one of the people on my list that like is someone where, right? If she has like a 2 attack hand, it's actually a 3 attack hand, and it might be, if depending on what else is banked. But yeah, like characters like that kind of like can sort of make those attacks like become more attacks, like definitely, right? Like basically all the characters you guys have mentioned, like the Ochakos, Toga, May, All Might, like these sort of characters that can start with like a smaller hand and like easily transform it into like more cards or recycling cards, and they get to like I guess play a game that most of the other characters don't work, and it seems like it's very character centric. Like I guess like you said, where it's like the attacks don't really matter, like outside of I guess basically like Heat Wave, which is sort of how Asui draws cards, or the water symbol in general. But like it definitely seems like a very character-centric game, and like the other stuff is just kind of like it's like you probably have a best symbol, but like it doesn't really matter like what those cards do that much.
The meta is extremely defined in a sense that the characters who are doing the best and the most consistent are the characters who are taking advantage of what they can do or cheating in some way, right? Like the 4th kind decks are doing well because they're not drawing extra cards outside of or on their face, right? But they are able to play more attacks and more skewed ratios. A deck like 4th kind can play closer to like a 50-50 list of attacks to foundations because he is allowed to do that based on like his character ability. And Asui can play every single attack in her hand at any given time, so like she's allowed to play just ridiculous defense because it doesn't matter, because she knows that at any point if she draws a handful of attacks she can kill you.
Also,
go ahead.
The mulligan.
The mulligan does make
I think the mulligan it makes your aggressive
more consistent.
No, it makes aggressively tuned decks like I saw a lot of decks that had like 27 attacks out of like 60 or something like that, which would be totally unheard of unless you were Tim Keefe, right? In like standard. Just because of the mulligan, because you can going first, you can dig 2 times, right? Yeah. You can, and then going second, it's like, oh, I drew 4 attacks and 3 foundations. Whatever, I'll send back these attacks.
Let's keep these 3 foundations and hope I draw 1 more attack.
Or one more foundation.
More foundation. Yeah, there was times where I would mulligan, and I would think I went to mulligan number 3 maybe 5 times over, just because I would be like, wow, this is like 4 attacks. This is 4 attacks. Hopefully I don't draw another 4 attacks. And, usually it'd be okay by the 3rd one, obviously. But, it was just... The mulligan really helps out, especially going second.
I will go with... I will... My comment on the double mulligan thing is that, yes, it does save time, but do you... Like, I feel like there should be, like, a shuffle in between those. And I'm not going to, like... I mean, I think if you're going to be able to dig 21 cards as a 7 hand size character... Perhaps you should have odds of drawing the same card.
And stuff, yeah.
Sure.
You should probably have some odds to draw
like
the same
mulligan
cards.
Once, shuffle, and then you can mulligan again?
The problem with that is it's time consuming, right? Like you get
basically
you get essentially like a Magic mulligan, right? Like Magic the Gathering, you would shuffle your deck, draw 1 less card, but you shuffle your deck between mulligans.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean you get to just do whatever the fuck you want, basically, because like you're statistically still favored to find foundations through your 10 million cards you get to find.
Yeah, even as a 5-hander, the percentage, the margin for finding a 3 foundation hand in a 50-50 is exactly like that. It's a 50-50, right? So in one of those 3 hands, you are probably going to find a 3 foundation hand.
You should find a 3 foundation hand.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, not that it is entirely hand size based, this argument, right? Your pokes are not all created equal on symbols.
True.
So, because like obviously, like a great example of this is Back Alley Haymaker or like Create Capture Net, which I'm a huge fan of Create Capture Net. I think it's awesome.
Card's great.
It's a card where it is either the most unassuming card, depending on when you're throwing it, or are they trying to kill me?
Mm-hmm.
And it is it's tough, right? Because like cards like Create Capture Net don't do anything by themselves. Like they need help. They need a card in front of them. They have a combo ability, stuff like that. But it's like, can I bank that my opponent is not going to continue to play cards and block this 4 damage attack? Or do I just take 4? Or do I just take 4 and allow my opponent to get away with murder, playing an attack that might not have been delete of anything? And like, there are characters obviously who do that better. And again, it's the best characters in the format do that better, like Toga, who gets the filter, or Chaco, who gets to stuff it in their momentum, or you just go, the list goes on and on. May, who gets to draw 8 cards off of it, or just like crazy shit like that, where you don't know if these attacks are pokes or if they have
the start of a string. Yeah.
You don't know. So sometimes it's tough. But if your character is an honest character, if you're playing Dobby, I'm just going to block every move you throw because I don't care. Moves don't matter. You're not playing real attacks. I'm just going to block them all. Who cares? Yeah, I'm not worried about your 4th attack being -4 difficulty, +4 damage, and it could be a stun 4 technically attached to it because you don't have a real effect on your character. So who cares? It doesn't matter. It's character driven, and it's poke driven. Any character in the entire format can just throw a Recipro Extend at me, and I don't know what the fuck I don't know what they're planning.
Right.
Do I have to block Recipro Extend? I don't know. Do I have a Breaker 2 mid block? I might block Recipro Extend. If I don't, I'm probably taking 4.
Yeah.
Because like I don't know what you're gonna play after that. I don't want to sell out to block your 4-speed mid for 4 if you're gonna throw a 6 high or a 10 high for 100 afterwards, Like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
That sounds awful. It feels fucking bad.
So what you're describing is basically the act of passing stats creates an innocuous sort of situation, right? And stunning is passing stats, right?
Yeah.
Stunning is passing stats. Stunning is creating +2 speed, quote unquote, for the rest of your board, right? And a lot of lineups don't have that, right? Like Bakugo 2 is, I think, an insane character. Totally crazy. He puts 2 speed on whatever Fury attack he wants. He flips 2 of your stuff every single turn. One of the things he just does not have is a way to pass stats meaningfully and have like an innocuous poke, right? And it's partly the character, right? The character needs to combo in order to get his effect, so he's gonna attack you twice, right? So that means that Face Shield really messes with him, right? Confuse really messes with him. Things like things like that, right? So he's committed a lot of the times to like attack you 2 times in order to get full value out of his character, right? And he doesn't have any attacks that are like Back Alley Haymaker, unless you're playing on Earth. You can play that card, but there's not like a bunch of things that will combo off it unless you're playing not his package, right? His package really wants to combo off of Fury. So you could play Texas Smash, you could do whatever. There's probably some version of this that does work. You could play Bakugo and do this, right? But pretty crucially, right, he has to follow up the Back Alley Haymaker, so he's going to be coming up with another one, right? And so, like, and like, I'm not using Bakugo 2 in specific just for this thing, but it's describing why, again, I think that he has trouble with this format, because he can't do the thing that Toga does, he can't do the thing that Mei does, and he's also not quite there with how, like, Asui and Tokiyami, like, they can just murder you, right? You can...
That guy has to draw, like, Impact Cyclone, right? Like,
he needs Cyclone,
he doesn't.
And he also needs, like, a way to break through your board, right?
Sure.
And, like, the Fire lists are just, like, blitzkrieging, right? They're using like cool students. They're using, the Sugar Rush,
go for the win,
go for the wins, things like that. When I think that character is actually like on his face, he feels like kind of like a defensive 7-hander, like Takeda, right? Takeda can blitzkrieg you, but Takeda gets like supreme value out of just like making his attacks fucking huge and like slamming whatever he wants to them. Just versatility, right? And I think Bakugo is versatile, but not versatile enough for the format yet. He will wait around. Once Earth becomes good,
right?
Christ.
Obviously, like all of this has the caveat of there's 2 sets of cards.
Yeah.
So.
If Earth weren't the worst symbol in the game right now,
you think Earth is worse than Evil?
Absolutely. Evil has speed hate. Evil has speed hate.
All is so bad.
Yeah. All is topping events, man.
I don't get it, because these Meis have to be playing against actually worse characters.
The Mei
dying to aggro. Mei can't do anything against any attack.
She can put 20 damage on things.
She can't fucking block.
And all gets access to Sugar Rush.
That's so crazy. She can't fucking block.
All right. I don't know what to tell you, man.
You're playing an aggro 5-man size character? You missed the fucking point.
I mean, they're doing it, man. They're doing it, and it's working.
Understand.
It's working.
I get it. I understand.
Yeah, I do think that Earth is the worst symbol in the game, though. I was literally just talking. I was just Earth is showing up. Earth has not made a single top cut, I think. And
that's not true.
Yeah, it has. Hiroshima did it. And
anything that says like Hiroshima, it's like, well, yeah, you
sure.
can talk with anything.
I did lose to an Earth deck actually. My bad.
Get fucked.
You're right. You're right. But I think that it doesn't have ways to like defend properly. It has Faith Shield, but no way to like nuke the speed of something so you can actually block with it. You know.
So you're not a fan of Kirishima 2 off of Earth, is what you're saying?
No, I think that character should probably be played off fire.
He's got a lot of stuff. I gotta let my dog